Welcome to Inspiring IT Leaders, where we feature top technology leaders and those amazing expressions they use to communicate, teach, and inspire. I'm Dan Roberts, your host of this series of 5-minute high-impact videos. I am beyond excited to shine the light on the top digital and business leaders who are also standout communicators. In this episode, we're featuring Walt Carter, who has twice held the dual roles of CIO and Chief Marketing Officer. He is also author of the book, We Can't Stay Here, and currently working on a second book with the intriguing title, Driving Behind Idiots. I'm sure we all might be able to relate to that a little bit. The following Waltism was so impactful to one of his former teams that they had it engraved into the back of the watch, a gift that he cherishes to this day. Walt, take it away.
Let's start with full turtle power. One of the things that I'm most proud of is I have a great watch. I should have worn it today, given to me by one of my teams, and they engraved that actually on the back of the watch because they said I'd say it all the time, and I'm thinking, I probably do. So what does it mean, right? And one of the things that I've learned over the years is that if I move too fast, I make a lot of mistakes. That old cliche about, measure 10 times, cut once, makes a lot of sense to me. And so now when I finally do get into a mode where I've gotten approval to move forward, I tell my teams, let's go forward, but let's go forward at full turtle power. Let's go very deliberately into that future together. And, I know you've got a lot of experience. You've got a lot of conversations. It's probably something similar that you've heard from other CIOs.
Well, it's interesting, Walt, because the board, the C-suite, they recognize how valuable technology is and how valuable the technology organization is, and they're pushing for us to go faster, harder, right? So how do you manage that conversation? How do you manage that dynamic?
It's funny. I reflect back on a conversation that I had with a couple of CIOs. Lee Crump, great CIO from Rollins, now retired. Serena Sachs, now Serena Sachs Mandel, works for Microsoft. But the three of us were here in Atlanta together. We took on a room full of CFOs, and we were trying to have this very conversation. How do you have that conversation about going slow versus going fast? And what I learned from that was that the CFOs come from a particular perspective that makes sense, that says, we want to know that what we're spending our money on, Walt, is going to create assets for us, not liabilities. And we want to know how quickly we can get to the value. So we want to understand what is the cost and what's the timeline. And yet when you are making a big change in technology, and particularly if you're using that word transformation, which nobody knows what that actually means, right? Then you've got to be really careful to explain to the CFOs up front, look, I can't possibly know everything. I can tell you as much as I do know, and we can have several iterative meetings where I update you on what I'm learning as I get more people on the team and I add more resources in. We start to bring those skill sets and experience bases in to the conversation. We can continuously cut, right? You can almost think in terms of fractals, right? I can just keep cutting, infinite number of meetings, but I'll never get to a definition that's perfect. I'm never going to get to a complete answer of how long and how much. So at some point, CFO, you and me are going to go in front of the board and we're going to ask the board for the money to actually do this thing, right? And we believe it's going to create value, and yet we're never going to be able to answer the definitive question. And oh, by the way, as I get started on those efforts at full turtle power, I'm going to learn some things, and I'm going to keep coming back to that CFO and to that board with updated incremental information about it's either working or it's not working. This is why there's another great book I love by Chris McChesney and some of the guys, Covey, the 4 disciplines of execution. 4 disciplines.
Oh yeah. Yep. Read that book.
One of those, major ahas for me was the leading indicators of, are we making it work or are we off track? And, the sooner you get, if you wait for outcomes, the lagging indicators, you're toast. This is maybe also why 70% of the transformations out there are failing, right? We're measuring the wrong things and we don't have the right leading indicators of whether we're on track or not. So again, full turtle power is also the opposite, by the way, of fail fast and fail often, right? It's the man, I hear that so many times. None of the CFOs in that room with me and Lee and Serena wanted to hear anything about failure. Who's going to pay for all that failure? We're not.
Right. So, you made me think of another book. I love that book by the Execution book, and the book Good to Great.
Yeah,
I think one of the best opening lines of any business book: "Good is the enemy of great." And what do you do when you're in a company that's doing well, and you got to go to them with a message of "We can't stay here," right? That's a tough narrative.
Yeah, and that's the title of my first book is "We Can't Stay Here," and by the way, that has done very well for me, and I really I wanted to convey that notion of a lot of times you really are in an untenable position, and to your point, Dan, a few minutes ago, a lot of companies are now finding out, maybe sometimes the hard way, that technology is at the center of almost everything we do as a company now, right? And there used to be an argument about, it's us versus the business, or us and the rest of the business. We used to hear that a lot. And IT really needs to align with the business. Just a few years ago at a big CIO 100 conference that I attended, was the first time I'd ever heard a major transition from that alignment narrative, or that, the prerogative to align IT to the business, to, hey, we need you IT people to start teaching the rest of the business how to think like IT people, because it turns out we're all going to be IT people in the future, right? We're a company that is a technology company. We just happen to sell motorcycles, and our name is Harley Davidson, right? Oh, we're a company that is a technology company that just happens to sell lots of chocolate, and our name is Hershey, right? And and I'm in another business called Homestar Financial Corp. We're a mortgage company, but it turns out we're a technology company. We are delivering online services. Everything that we do is designed to build confidence, trust, and authority for us with our borrowers and with our referral partners. And so consequently, if we lose sight of the fact that we're all in this together, there is no business anymore without technology, and there is no technology just for technology's sake, even in big tech companies. And so when you come to that understanding, then "We Can't Stay Here" makes a lot more sense.
Hey there, I'm Ryan Becker, and I'm on the production team for the Inspiring IT Leaders video series. If you like this video, make sure to leave a thumbs up to help us grow, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this. Also, be sure to check out the Tech Whisperers podcast, where we take a peek inside the playbooks of the best digital leaders so that we can help you grow your career in tech leadership. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.